history books, but it's clear that he understands that this is now his legacy, right?
Well, he certainly understands history and historical figures, and he views himself as one. And this is something where, you know, when I was around him in 2013 and 2014, and we were trying to build up his base within the Conservative Party, and he was criticizing Republicans back then for not for taking impeachment off the table and Barack Obama, saying that. Do you think Bill Clinton liked it? I've talked to Bill Clinton about it. He hates it. I think that ultimately he was never going to like being impeached. I know Speaker Pelosi was saying that, but now here's the but. Be careful. As I texted you, be careful what you wish for, because he knows that this is either going to be an asterisk or this will be written on his political gravestone. If he gets reelected, it's an asterisk, and I think that this makes him more of a contender, frankly, more motivated, more focused to get reelected. What that means, other people can interpret, but for me it means some actual substantive work when we get to the debates and a lot more fundraising, things like that.
Oh, yeah, no, he's fundraising off of it because, right, so if you look at the text messages he's sending out, they're trying to fundraise off it. But, A, it's still an asterisk. I mean, even with Bill Clinton, who was the most popular president up to that point before President Obama came along, it still lingers. It still lingers over his legacy overall. There's nothing you can do about that. We had a historian, Jelani Cobb, on earlier. It's there. It's there for Nixon. You know, Nixon opened up China. It's there, right? And so Trump has got to understand that. Based on your dealings with him, does he seem to be handling it with aplomb, or does he seem to be losing it?
I think aplomb is a gracious word. I think essentially what you see is he views this, to me, through the prism of privilege. And so he is someone who's always said anything that goes against my favor is unfair, whether the election was rigged, whether it was how they treated Justice Kavanaugh through his process, he was unfair. So anything that doesn't go for me is unfair, and that plays directly to his base of white grievance politics. To say that as the system becomes more balanced, as there are more voices that come to the table, as you have to compete harder on the global stage, it therefore becomes unfair and therefore it's rigged. So that prism of privilege that you see Trump viewing this through, he's now part of the dirty, rotten scoundrels club. It's Clinton, it's Johnson, it's Nixon, it's Trump. And now the question is, there are levels to this, right? And so where does he fall on that dirty, rotten scoundrel level? And for me, he's scoundrel number one.
Well, and I think there is a l'état c'est moi thing about Donald Trump, right, where he does believe he is the state. And a lot of his followers believe he is the state. Like, it's sort of a monarchist kind of attitude that, as you said, what's bad for Trump, that he is America. So he's got to view it like even in sort of a megalomaniacal kind of level of anger.
Well, let's talk about the Republican Senate for a second. They are allowing this. At the end of the day, he completely broke the law. You can go through the different categories. You can look at the facts. Joy, we haven't even seen the primary witness testimony. Those four people, whether it's Mulvaney, Bolton, Giuliani, Pompeo, if they have to testify under oath, he has to leave. And so there's 4 senators that need to be moved to allow for a full and fair trial. And if that happens, Kwame's going to be right. He's going to be scoundrel number one because he's going to leave before that testimony is brought.
You think he would resign?
There is no way he can handle the heat of that testimony.
Wow.
And by the way, the people that work with him know that he's amoral and they know he's lawless. Just go back to what John Kelly said. Hire a yes person, you're going to get yourself impeached. And so, and John Kelly would have never let that 6-page letter get out.
Are you sure about that? Because John Kelly let a lot of bad things happen. He didn't seem to be very brave when he was there.
He would have put that letter in the paper shredder. Also, the letter that Trump wrote to Erdogan, it looked like somebody wrote it with a red crayon and then dropped it off at Steno.
Excuse me, sir. That is a black magic marker to you, sir. Let me play.
It looked like a red crayon to me from kindergarten.
Let's play one of those senators, Lindsey Graham, who has become Donald Trump's chief sycophant. And here he is saying how Trump is feeling on their favorite network, Fox.
I just left President Trump. He's mad as hell that they would do this to him and now deny him his day in court. The reason they're denying his day in court is they know their case sucks.
So now here comes the challenge for the Lindsey Grahams of the world, whose chief job is to be a sycophant to Donald Trump, to be reek. Okay, he's being reek. That's his job, right? But the other reek, Mitch McConnell, has said, I don't want a trial. So Trump says, I want a trial. So Lindsey Graham has to say he wants a trial. But Mitch McConnell's saying, I don't want a trial. Who wins in the battle of the reeks?
Ooh, that's.
I'm sorry. Was that too mean? Game of Thrones too much? Too soon?
I'm bringing an athletic.
Too soon? We blame Scaramucci for all of our over-the-top.
Okay. So I think the short answer is Mitch McConnell. Yes, Lindsey Graham has a tough time. I think Mitch McConnell is the one to worry about in the sense that he's the one now caught in the middle because thanks to Speaker Pelosi, who literally made sure to put him there, that he is now in a situation where he's trying to manage some level of, not fair, but some level of politically controlled process that doesn't seem completely ridiculous. And he's got Lindsey Graham, who's got to try to figure out how to thread that needle. But I think at the end of the day, what Lindsey Graham does is kind of still be the spokesperson for the Donald Trump perspective in general, which is to say, perfect call, nothing wrong. It's the Democrats who screwed the process and were unfair, and just try to deflect. While McConnell has to deal with the fact that he's got pressure from both sides now, because the brilliance of the House move is it's not just the House pushing for witnesses.
Yeah.
Donald Trump is someone they were trying to hold back, right? Mitch McConnell was like, we're not going there with you.
Right.
We're not doing that, because they understand exactly, I completely agree, that they got a real problem if there are witnesses who are actual fact witnesses as opposed to distractors. So here we go. And
it's sort of bad either way. And to come back to you on this for a second, Anthony, because it is a point that it would be amazing TV for Rudy Giuliani to testify. I think we all are rooting fully for that to happen. But it would not be good for under oath. It would not be good for Trump. It would also be bad for all of these guys to take the fifth. Like if you had John Bolton get up there and take the fifth, if people just were doing that. So the trial that Trump wants is a television show, right? We're going to go back around on this. But the TV show wouldn't be good.
You're at 52% impeach and remove. It's the latest poll.
Yeah.
You get those guys out there, it's going over 60, and he's gone. And so it's not 19 or 20 senators. It's 4 Republican senators that believe in the Constitution and the rule of law, and we can end this national nightmare.
I don't know if there are 4. I mean, just on the TV show aspect, Donald Trump wants a TV show in which he is acquitted.
I agree. And I just want to challenge Scaramucci and say that resignation requires humility. It requires a sense of self that says, I've done wrong, I don't want to be shamed, or at least a sense of shame. And if you don't have a sense of shame, if you don't have a sense of what my legacy is going to be stained by, then you're not going to resign until people literally force you out. So I think that he will go
the full impeachment and get voted out of office.
Hell and high water before he ever leaves the office.
Tiebreaker.
If he was going to get impeached, I think that he would make them impeach him, sure.
Yeah.
And then he would say...
Well, no, he's already impeached.
If he was going to get indicted...
It's the counterpuncher mentality.
He would say to these he would say to the Republican senators, you better vote me out, and then I'm going to take you down with me. You have no idea what I will do to you.
And create a Trump TV to destroy them all.
Well, and that's the interesting question is then what happens within the Republican Party, right? Because I think the point is, if we're really honest, there are a ton of senators who actually know this is bad, wrong, dirty, and are hanging with the politics of it, which is to what seems to be protectionist. But what happens if there's more? He won't resign, and some of them are like, now you got to go. Then it's not that he will resign, but what happens within the Republican Party.
I think Sam and Kwame are right on the facts and Trump's behavior. But if you look at the underlying lawlessness of Trump and the criminal activity that's about to be exposed, whether it's here in New York State or the city, he's going to resign.
Well, here's the other question. I want to talk about the Republicans for a second.
He'll resign.
One thing very quickly is I assume that just like with this letter, which he hid from his attorneys, he made